Cheers, Warwick. Thank you very much. When we organised this session, it was originally going to be me to stand up here and have a chat. But today we have access to our National Operations Manager, Amanda Braddock. And I would be robbing you if I spoke and she didn't. So I'm going to get her to come up and have a chat about mental health in the manufacturing industry, have a chat with you guys for a while, and then I'll pop in a little bit later on and talk about the MATES program and what we can actually do inside manufacturing to help people with their mental health and suicide intervention. So Amanda Braddock, please come up. Thank you.
Damn, he oversold me. All right, we'll go with it though. For those of you that are here, we really appreciate you turning up because we know day 2, 5 o'clock, you'd probably rather be somewhere else having a drink or having a wind down or on your drive home. So we appreciate you coming because we really believe in what we do at MATES and we believe it's an important thing. And by you showing up today, we can see that you do as well. So thank you for coming along. For those of you who don't know who we are, other than that lovely introduction we just received from that incredible hype man in the back there, look at him, he's very excited. We are a workplace suicide prevention and mental health charity. So we're a not-for-profit business who partners with industry, built by industry, for industry, and alongside of industry to help workers and organisations maintain healthy workplaces when it comes to psychological safety and with a big focus on suicide prevention. So that's what we're going to start talking about today. We're going to talk about mental health because it's a topic we don't talk about very often. Before we get into that, really important for me to personally acknowledge that we're meeting here on Indigenous land. The Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, I believe, are the traditional custodians of this land. For me, I actually come up from Ghana country in South Australia. Scott and I are really fortunate in what we do, that we get to travel this beautiful country day in and day out, and we see a lot of beautiful parts of the country. What we've come to learn is how important that connection to country can be, particularly for the traditional custodians of this country. So really important for us to sit and acknowledge that for a moment. What is mental health? Pretty simply, mental health is a part of all of our lives. It's how we think, it's how we feel, and it's how we manage our day-to-day. Now, good mental health, when we have positive mental health, it helps us work well and build solid and lasting relationships. But let's look at it a little deeper. I want to start by clearing up a common misconception that happens. Quite often, the terms of mental health and mental illness are used interchangeably, but they're not the same thing, not by a long stretch. So as you can see up there on the screen on the right, mental health is something we all have. Just like our physical health, it can be good, it can be poor, or it can be somewhere in between. So it's a bit of a sliding scale. And that changes for us day by day, sometimes hour by hour, depending on what we're facing. An example of that might be you're facing a pressure deadline. You know, the mental health might take a little bit of a dive. You might have some feelings of anxiety. You might have that fear of dread, but you're able to still push through. You're able to draw on your resilience and push through and get the task done. Mental illness, on the other hand, is a medical condition that can only be diagnosed by a psychiatrist. It's things like major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, anxiety, schizophrenia. And again, it's a scale, right? It can be mild or it could be severe. Typically, mental illnesses, as they are a diagnosable mental condition, are lifelong. So just like our physical health, that mental health, everyone having it, that spectrum, we need to be taking care of ourselves. The key differences between the two, as I said, everyone has mental health. Not everyone has a mental illness. And this is a really important distinction because you can have a diagnosed mental illness, but actually have really positive mental health. You might have some good treatment strategies in place. You might have a really good support system. There might be medication or therapies, and you actually live a really happy, functional life with positive mental health. And the reverse can be true. You can not have the diagnosable criteria for a mental illness, but you could be struggling with really poor mental health. Understanding that mental health is where someone is at rather than a label can help us respond better to people. So why do we talk about mental health in the workplace? Well, quite simply, it's because, as we all know, the workplace is a major part of our lives. It's where we spend a hell of a lot of our time. And workplaces can play a big part in our mental health, sometimes for the positive and sometimes not so much. So you can see there, workplaces can be a source of stress and fatigue and conflict and sometimes bullying. But they can also be a place where we find purpose, where we reach our goals, where we get connection. Now, a healthy workplace can help to protect workers from stress, reduce the risk of harm, and be a place of support. So a mentally healthier workplace is a place where people feel safe, where they feel supported, and when they can speak up when something isn't right for them. I'd be remiss to talk about an important topic like mental health without sharing some key research and statistics, because it does paint a really honest picture of what the landscape looks like. So really interestingly, 1 in 5 Australians will experience a mental health condition in any given year. And this is almost brand new research. This comes from Beyond Blue in 2024. So 1 in 5, I believe we're looking at 17,000 people making their ways through these doors over the next few days. 1 in 5 are probably having some kind of deep struggle with their mental health. It's a significant amount of people. Now, I touched on before that a big focus for us at MATES is suicide prevention. So that's at that pointy end when somebody feels that they have got no choices left. And so I want to share some stats around that for you. So in 2023, the most recent statistics we have from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we lost 3,214 Australians to suicide. 3/4 of those were men. And now if we average that out, I've got some guests on stage. I'm like the animal whisperer, Dr. Dolittle over here. So even the birds think it's an important topic. Now, if we average it out, we're looking at losing 9 Australians every single day to suicide. 9 people. To give you some comparison, our road toll is about 1/3 of that. So we lose almost three times as many people to suicide in this country every year than we do our road toll. But it's not something that we're openly talking about, and that needs to change. Now, I'm not a person who enjoys generally talking about dollars when we talk about mental health and suicide, because I think it can sometimes confuse our priorities. But I do appreciate that we've all got businesses to run. There are bottom lines to worry about. So it might interest a lot of you to know that in 2020, when the Productivity Commission completed their mental health inquiry, that report highlighted that mental ill health cost Australian businesses a staggering $39 billion each year in lost productivity, absenteeism, and compensation. So investing in our people, investing in their psychological safety, not only is it the right and moral thing to do, it's now in many states part of codes of practice and legislation that are coming into effect, but it costs our bottom line not to as well. We hope that that drive comes from a place of wanting to make change rather than worrying about those things, but it's important to acknowledge those. So why manufacturing? I don't have to tell all of you how stressful manufacturing can be. You can probably talk to that better than I can. We have unique risks. Now, we employ it's closer to 900,000 people in Australia now in manufacturing, often in high pressure, physically demanding sometimes, fast-paced roles with lots of deadlines. Sometimes it's shift work, long hours. This all can accumulate stress. Those targets can take a toll. Now, workers traditionally take a lot of pride in pushing through. Right? It's kind of that Aussie way. We push through, we get the job done. But that can make it harder to put the hand up when somebody's struggling. Some important data that was collected from both the Australian Bureau of Statistics and SafeWork shows us that workers in blue-collar industries, just like manufacturing, are less likely to access mental health services. And dangerously, on the flip side of that, we see reports of higher levels of psychological distress when it comes to workers in the manufacturing industry. So you've got workers that are reporting higher levels of stress, but they're less likely to access support, not leading to favourable outcomes. So suicide prevention, and how does that relate? For us, we believe that suicide prevention shouldn't be starting in crisis. It shouldn't be when somebody is at the most difficult point of their life that we're trying to intervene. Suicide prevention needs to start with early intervention. So by recognising the signs of distress, by having the skills to do that, by being able to offer support, we can reduce stigma in the way that we talk about mental ill health and suicide. And we start to shift from a reactive space to a proactive space. And this is where the workplace comes in. Because suicide prevention, by and large, starts with a conversation. It starts with connection. It's about getting support for people in the places that we live and work. At Mates, we work with companies to build skilled networks internally within your organisations, so we make you self-sufficient. We give you the skills and the confidence to look after your own, thus creating a safer industry. This kind of approach is what we consider to be early intervention. We work from an evidence-based best practice model. We've been endorsed by the World Health Organization as the leading suicide prevention program. Scott's going to talk a little bit more on that in a minute when it comes to the program. But one way I would encourage you to all be proactive in this space is to get involved. Support Mates. Think about how Mates might fit in with your workplace. And with that, I'm going to hand over to the fabulous man on the ground, the guy that's actually out there delivering this program every day, Scott Mackenzie, to talk more about the program and what that looks like. Scotty.
Thank you. All righty. Let's have a chat about the Mates in Manufacturing program and the program in general, yeah? Not particularly just because it's Mates, but because we've got a program that we know works, yeah? Amanda said before, that we've been around since 2008 as the Mates organisation, and that program has a history of providing results in reducing suicides in industry and changing cultures within industry as well. So let's have a quick look at what that is. So our Mates program is a non-for-profit business, yeah? We're a registered charity, and it's built specifically for industry. So when we started in construction, it was birthed inside the construction industry. And when we decided to move into manufacturing, we ran a pilot program with organisations from the manufacturing industry, along with peak bodies, union groups as well, getting buy-in to make sure that the program was fit for purpose. We didn't want to roll something out just for the sake of it. We wanted to make sure that it was fit for purpose. And the reason that we're here is that we want to raise awareness about mental health. We have a culture within manufacturing, within heavy industry of, you know, suck it up, get on with the job, and let's just keep going, moving forward, progress, yeah? We want to make sure that we create an environment whereby we can have these types of conversations. We want to build peer support networks within the workforce. So it's not just the employer that comes along that has to do something to help a person that might be struggling. It can be the colleague standing beside you. We can give those people the skills, which I'll explain a little bit about later on, to be able to support people that are next to them. And therefore the employer may not find out about a problem at all. It might be dealt with by the colleague that's standing beside them if they have those skills and awareness. And we do that by providing training and support pathways for them to be able to help the people around them. And initially, holistically, it's about culture change. We want to change the culture within industry that this is a topic that we can have a discussion about. This is something that it's safe to say to the guy next to me or the lady next to me, hey, I'm struggling. Is there something that you might be able to help me out? Or we can go and offer support and go, I've noticed that things have changed for you. Is there something that we can do to help you out? This isn't a crisis service. Like Amanda said before, while we do provide a number for a crisis line number for people to ring when they're struggling, we'd rather get in at the base level and get there before somebody finds crisis in their life, and have a support network for them before it becomes a crisis model. And with that, prevention. Yeah, we want to be able to prevent that crisis in somebody's life. And we want to do it where they work, because a lot of the time we spend more time together as colleagues and workmates than we do with our friends and family. So sometimes those people are best placed to see when something's changed. The MATES program involves training and ongoing support. Yeah, so we don't just roll out training for training's sake. We surround that with support as well through crisis lines, case managers who can be social workers as well, that work one-on-one with people to try and help them where they're at. That training program consists of a few different levels of training. The 40-minute Mates Inducted program that we'd like to call our general awareness training. It's where we come in and we try to get the entire organisation to sit through that 45 minutes to get aware of what the problem looks like with inside industry, what the invitations somebody might be giving out when they're struggling, those signs. We used to call them red flags or warning signs, but in our industry, red flags and warning signs mean something that you steer clear of, yeah? So we were trying to change that language. And so we call it invitations that somebody might be giving us to step in and do something about. We try to get that through to everybody. It's for everybody. And it builds that basic awareness of what mental ill health might look like, what somebody might look like that's having thoughts of suicide, and how we might start a conversation and connect them to support. Our connector training is built off the basis of a Safe Talk program owned by LivingWorks, and that teaches people how to ask a direct question when somebody might be thinking about suicide. A little bit more in depth in identifying people that struggle, that are struggling, and then learning how to connect those people to help when they need it most. Because there's so many avenues of support out there, and sometimes when you're really struggling and you're at your worst, it can be really hard to know where to go, who to call, or even pick up the phone. That can be a really tough thing to do. And so our connector training trains people to learn how to do that, and sometimes even take that role for them and maybe make the call in place of them, because that can be a really tough thing to do. At the end there, we've got our Mates Assist program. Now that's a really in-depth 2-day program, which is called Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. And that isn't training for everybody. It is for the few people within your organisation that really want to help people, that really want to have the skills to be able to see somebody that's struggling, maybe they're even having thoughts of suicide, and be able to intervene, make a safe plan for that person to keep them safe over a 72 to maybe 96-hour period, and then really tie them in with maybe emergency services, or it could be just a crisis line, or even it could be the Mates helpline it's as well. In regards to the support that we wrap around those training programs, I spoke about that 24/7 crisis line. That is a free helpline for everybody within the industry, in the manufacturing industry. Not only the people inside the industry, but also their direct family members, because we know that people that suffer through poor ill health or maybe an addition of things that build up in their life, it not only affects them, it might affect their direct family members as well. And so we want to be able to provide that help for them as well. Our case management works one-on-one with that 24/7 line. If people call up and that they might have tried a few different avenues of support, be it EAP services or GPs or what have you, and find that, okay, they've really struggled to connect with something that's going to work for them, our case manager will work one-on-one with people to try and find what suits that person to get ongoing support. We have field visits where we come out to work sites regularly to make ourselves known so that people know that we're available for them to come up and have a chat to really try and shift that culture within organisations of we don't talk about mental health at all. We have postventions because we know that as much preventative efforts that we can do, we know that people will do what they want to do, yeah? And in some instances, that means they'll take their own life. And so when that happens in workplaces, we will go out and provide postvention scenarios for us to sit there and talk to people to discuss how they might be feeling, how we might be able to move forward for that. Let them know that their feelings are okay, that everybody grieves differently. Critical incident support as well, because not only suicide affects people, but maybe you might have a critical incident on site and that affects people as well. So we come out and have support for that. And there's always ongoing research and information provided to work sites as well. We have a team of people that do research, constantly having a look at the results from all of the different training that we put in place to make sure that we're fit for purpose. But most importantly, we need to collaborate with industry. We need buy-in from the industry to make sure that we're heading in the right direction and we're filling a gap and a hole that's there. We can't do it alone. It requires people to buy into this program all across the industry, unions, industry bodies, even the workers themselves need to be able to have a say in how this fits and how it suits to make sure that this is okay. When companies partner with us, we want to make sure that we embed ourselves inside that organisation, that we become a part of the organisation, that we're another resource for them to lean on and to call on. And we invite all of you guys to work with us. Every single organisation we want to hear from, we want to know what they need in regards to a mental health provider. And we want to make sure that mental health is part of that safety conversation at all organisations, and make sure that support is easily accessible and people know where to go to get that. So if you want to find out a little bit more about that, we have a booth here, MS517. Come and have a chat to us. Myself, Penny and Amanda will be there. We can talk more about the program, how it might suit you guys, what it looks like in your organisation. You can ask us how you can get involved and we can keep that conversation going on. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for taking the time out to come on Wednesday afternoon to hear us. And hope to see you guys down at 517. Cheers.
Please put your hands together for Scott and Amanda and the two random birds.